In previous AZ-900 videos, you heard me talk a lot about Azure Compute as well as some of the different networking services. There's various different terms that you need to memorize. Let's take a look at some of those terms. Be sure to write those down so that way you have a better chance of remembering them. So what is Azure Compute? As you can see, it's on-demand computational power for resources, for things like applications and storage. You're going to add these types of features on demand in order to increase your computational power. More CPUs, in this case they would be more virtual CPUs for virtual machines. Additional RAM for those virtual machines as well. Larger storage, it could also be faster storage, but you could also choose slower hard disk drives if you want to save some money. All three of these different areas are going to increase your computational power for various different resources within Azure. Now we'll talk about Azure networking services, and there's a lot of them. Networking services are for traffic between resources and clients, as well as between resources and resources. And you want to make sure that you have secure connectivity between them. These Azure networking services include Azure Virtual Networks and subnets. They enable isolated and secure communication. And what they do is they allow for the secure connectivity through services, such as VPN gateways, traffic filtering with network security groups, public access management via public or private endpoints. Now let's take a look at all those different networking services. We've got the Azure Virtual Network, or VNet, and this is going to create private isolated networks in the Azure cloud, connecting the Azure resources, as well as the internet and your on-premises networks. Next, we have Azure DNS, and this provides hosting for public and private domain names and resolved domain names into IP addresses. Next, we have Azure Private Link, and this enables secure private connectivity from your virtual network to the Azure platform services without traversing the public network. Next, we have VPN Gateway. The gateway establishes the secure encrypted site-to-site or point-to-site connections between your on-premises network as well as Azure. So that means whether you're at home connecting into Azure or whether you're in a local area network, you're going to use the VPN gateway in order to connect if you choose that internal communication. Then we have ExpressRoute. This offers dedicated private network connections between your on-premises network and Azure. It provides better bandwidth and lower latency than just VPNs alone. So you do have some options if you choose to go away from traditional VPNs. Then you have Azure Virtual WAN. This is a unified networking service that brings together branch, VPN, and private or ExpressRoute connectivity, which simplifies management. After that, we've got Azure Firewall. This is a managed cloud-native network firewall that provides unified high availability, port filtering, and zero maintenance firewall services. I think the most important thing for AZ-900 is to remember port filtering when it comes to the Azure Firewall. After that, you've got DDoS protection. This protects your Azure resources from distributed denial of service attacks with basic protection enabled by default, but you can have advanced features available as a paid service. So there is already some DDoS protection, but you can increase that if you have those kinds of issues. After that, we have the Web Application Firewall. This is a feature of application gateways that protects web applications from common web vulnerabilities. And network security groups, which we've talked about previously, they act as a basic firewall. They're not the advanced firewall, but a basic firewall to control inbound and outbound network traffic to Azure resources. After that, we have the Azure Load Balancer. This distributes incoming internet traffic across multiple virtual machines, which ensures high availability. So if you have too many users coming to a single virtual machine, you can do horizontal scaling by adding additional virtual machines and utilizing the load balancer to distribute traffic between those different virtual machines. Then we have the Azure Application Gateway. This is a web traffic load balancer and web application firewall. So the same thing that happens for virtual machines, you can now do with websites. Websites are being hosted on Azure servers. For instance, we see this all the time, say during the Super Bowl. During the Super Bowl, everybody's going to the NFL website. Well, a single web server is not going to be able to handle that. So you need an Azure Application Gateway to distribute that load amongst multiple different web servers. And you have Azure Front Door. This is a global, scalable entry point that uses Microsoft's Global Edge network to accelerate, secure, and optimize web applications. Front Door is going to get people access to the website or other applications they need to access much more quickly. Then there's Azure Network Watcher. This provides tools to monitor, diagnose, and view metrics for Azure network resources. And finally, there's Azure Virtual Network Manager. This is a service for centralizing and automating network management, deployment, and policy configuration. Virtual Network Manager works with other network services to make sure that you have the best management for all these different services in one location. Just to give you an example of one of these types of services, all you'll have to do is go in and type what it is you'd like. In this case, the DDoS protection plans. Remember, it already comes with some basic DDoS protection. But if you would like to create the advanced DDoS protection, then you can do that here. So you would click on Create the DDoS Protection Plan. And this basically protects you against a lot of different devices that have been taken over by some form of malware that are all going to be directed to attack your particular Azure resources all at once. It's very common with government types of resources in Azure, where one type of government may be at war with another, and they're trying to bring down their ability to do any type of business. Azure is very used to this type of attack and is able to minimize it as much as possible using these DDoS protection plans. After you create your subscription to Microsoft Azure, feel free to do a search for some of the other network resources that we talked about in this video.